on my YouTube channel, I was looking at some the very first recording that I ever did, and trying to do this many years ago. And it was at my desk. It was kind of late at night, and I just fooled around. But it was the topic that I was speaking about is one that it's really important to me, and that is value. And what is value, and how has it changed over the years, and how's globalization changed that, and how's that sort of messed up not only it messed up our world, even if you look at it that way. And so let's break down uh, in terms of apparel anyway, and physical product, the value and how it's changed, and how we've fulfilled some of that value in the past, present, and hopefully maybe the future. So in the past, you valued, if you were, let's say, if you were a settler or somebody pushing west, or somebody, you know, going back in years, when you had something made, that might be the only one. You had one Sunday suit, right? You were going on a talk show. You didn't need a different one every week. You were going to wear it Sunday. And then the rest of the time, you're going to be basically working, tilling the land, building the home, um, working with livestock, whatever the case may be. My brand has an 1850s set in its mind. There's certain things, like I just was talking about the cowboy jean. I look at that and I think about that, being American and being tough and being able to wear something and not have it be too delicate, if you will. And so when those are your parameters, like I'm going to have one Sunday suit, and then the rest of it, I might have one or two other items that I need to be able to wear every day, and it needs to function. It's odd because that's what Luther was about ready to get into. I asked him a question about how he met us, and we set out to make things that last and that are tough in that same kind of a way. Although I don't think anyone's homesteading in my clothes, but when you do something that's physical, like, we had a lot of musicians, especially that wore our clothes, you're going to live in those. They're going to be for a whole tour, and I need to be able to, live, sleep, eat. That's the type of thing. And when you limit that, you need that thing too. It's your value in it is in how long it's going to last, how well it's going to function for what you're going to need it for, and when you delimit how many of those are going to be, because you can only put so much of your resources into your apparel, and how you're going to wash it, keep it clean, what are your sanitary conditions. Those constraints make value really need to be in something tough. That's how jeans came about, right? It's a very denim from nim. In case anybody ever wondered, that's where that comes from. But it's a twill. It's a left hand twill that is strong. It stretches, so as you move your legs in that product, they stretch to fit where they bend, and that makes it a very comfortable product. You add in the rivet and some bar tacks, and you have a strong, comfortable product that's going to last. And it was really for the 49ers, right? And you were going to buy that pair of jeans, and that was going to be your suit of armor against the outside elements, against the water, against whatever it's going to take to get that gold out of the ground. So as you fast forward, and Henry Ford starts to mechanize things, and we begin to have an assembly line process, we can drop the price of that, because when you're buying one and it's being handmade, that's going to be that's going to be cost prohibitive to have multiples of those things, and so therefore we're going to make it tough, because it's going to have to last, and it's only going to be the one. And if I snag it, I'm going to mend it. I'm not going to throw it out, right? I'm going to mend that thing. How many of you guys are darning your socks or mending your jeans? I mean, we did mend our jeans because we had people that fell in love with them. We're like, yeah, I'll buy a new pair, but can you just fix the crotch on these? I can't give them up. I'll wear them when I am homesteading, if you will, in what we do, like cleaning up the backyard or doing what have you. So fast forward to this mechanization of things, and then how it affects fashion. That price begins to fall a little bit. So now, okay, I can have a Sunday suit, I can have work clothes, and I can have something else for some other activities. I can begin to build what became later on what we asked our everyone to have is a wardrobe. We began to say, okay, let's wardrobe. So let's plan out our week. Let's have you're going to wear this pair of slacks 2 days a week. I'm talking about for office wear especially, but or for school when we first begin to have our fashion identity is when we go to school. Some kids' parents bought them the best clothes. Some kids' parents, whatever, and how you start to build that identity. You like I freak out if my kid doesn't care. He's like, I want to wear this. You wore that same sweatshirt yesterday. You're gonna kids are gonna think you're poor. And besides, you got smolts on it. Come on, go put something else on. So as we started to decide, okay, I want to have a different, I don't want to smell. I want to have a different set of apparel. As we go along, our thoughts about that began to change a little bit, right? I can have one that's a little more delicate because I'm only going to wear it the one time in a week. I'm going to care for it. I'm going to invent something called dry cleaning so it doesn't have to be immersed in water. We're going to begin to do some wardrobing. Okay. That's fine. So it still has a limit, right? I'm going to have like 2 pairs of trousers, 3 dress shirts, 2 pairs of jeans, a couple t-shirts, and I'm going to build um, this sort of like set that I live in and I'm going to grow. And then as things drop out, that trouser got stained, it got old. I'm going to add a new pair of trousers in. And maybe I got a 2-for-1 sale. I'm going to add 2 trousers in. But I'm only going to have this much. I'm going to still be considered. And up until, 40, 50 years ago, it was still going to come from somewhere local. That first one, when you're out on the prairie, is you and your tailor, and he's making it. And you're going to go and place the order. Probably got the fabric from the Sears catalog, and it was sent, or he might have it there, right? And then so it's you and the tailor, and then it's you and the store, and I need more things. I need a few more, and then we have commerce, and we have capitalism get involved, and then we start to say, you let's really lower the price. Let's really start to bring that down, and so we can then begin to think about I want something, I want 2 or 3 of that thing. I can get it. And then for me, we drop the price down to where we are no longer thinking about, I don't need to think about quality. I don't need to think about how long this is going to last. It's priced so low. When you get like a t-shirt with graphics in decent cotton for $10, first of all, I can't square that circle how that's possible, and I'll get into that in just a second. But if it gets messed up, who cares? Like, it's only $10. I can go get another one, or I can get 10 of them for that matter, right? All of a sudden, value switched from what it used to be, which was I needed quality, I needed something strong. I was going to get that one. I needed it to last. So we were like, forget it. Forget all that. It's disposable. We'll throw it. And it really doesn't matter. And so as you extrapolate that out into how we think about the world around us, everything is consumable, right? The earth is consumable. You just get another one. We begin to warp our sense of what value is, what we value. Why value the stream? It doesn't matter. Someone will clean it. We'll get a new one. We just, why value? You get to so what? Robert's jacket is $600, man. I can get 5 of them from H&M. Who cares that they're serged and made? Earlier I was talking about how long. Yeah, dude. That would be great. So that'll be great. So you begin to not have to worry about that. And so It warps everything about value and what you value. And so the other day I was talking to my to a colleague, and we were talking about globalization and this and that, and their response to me was, well, you can't compete. You don't make your stuff in China. How can you possibly compete? And my response was, I can't compete on today's definition of value. If we're only talking about how much something costs, I can't compete. But on the flip side of that coin, they can't compete with me on quality. They can't, and they also can't compete with me on green. And I think we give a lot of lip service to green, really, because you walk around in a shirt that costs you, $10, let's say, or $20 for a woven shirt from H&M or whatever the case may be, and never once thought about the value and what the destruction of that product reaps on the world around us. And what am I talking about? Well, let's break down what a $10 t-shirt and quickly. What all does that entail? And you tell me if it makes sense. So first of all, let's say it's a quality one. Let's say we're making it Supima cotton. So we're gonna take a seed, put it in the ground, and we're gonna grow the cotton. Now somebody's got to go out into the field and pull those. I don't know if you've ever seen cotton, but it puffs out of like a little seed, and they pull that off, and then they pull it out and they twist it together. And the longer that filament, the longer when you pull it out of that pile of cotton, the better off it is. And so Supima is superior and Egyptian because they're longer. And so when you twist it together, there's less parts where they have to connect. So it just makes for a stronger twisting, and then eventually a stronger yarn, and you can then make it thinner and all these kind of things. So let's pull this out of the ground. Well, now we got it out of the ground, and we got to gin it, and then we got to twist it into yarns, and then we've got to make it into a knit. In today's disconnected world, where we valued price over quality and over we don't care about the hidden costs of things. We then ship those fibers because we don't have the ability to twist the yarns in the United States anymore properly for the new way to do things, to Asia, where the yarns are then made. And oftentimes those yarns can then be shipped back to America or to China or to Japan in order to make the fabric, to knit it. We can knit here because there's no human cost to it. It's a machine. You have a couple engineers. They set it up. That's the reason why American apparel could be made in USA, because they were just knitting the fabric here and then sewing it. And a t-shirt is just this and this. And that's it. This is two operations for sewers. And they're adjacent to an immigrant population who knows how to sew, Mexico, and they bring them, and so they can sort of compete on the labor costs, because there's to do the knitting of a jersey knit it's mainly mechanical. You just need a couple guys to make sure that those machines are continuously running, spitting out that material, and then somebody's got to be like, okay, I need this much black, this much white, this much red, and you keep those all in balance, and you run a company and you grow. But so now I've grown the fabric, I've shipped the raw materials, and I've made it. So how many hands did we touch? How much flight? Okay, so do we fly those goods over to Asia, have them twisted, or do we boat them over there? And if we boat it over there, who pays the cost of the oil that's dripping into the ocean, or the waste of the boat that's being, somebody had to use the bathroom, somebody had a Snicker bar, they threw it overboard, they had the plastic Solo cup, threw it overboard. Those costs are not being accounted for on your $10 shirt. Much less, how in the world did you ever have all those hands? The hand that put it in the ground, the hand that, this is a little that has to be picked. It's not much. How on the world, when you think about all that has to happen? Oh yeah, by the way, okay, we made a t-shirt now. Somebody had to make the label. They had to put it on. Somebody else had to fold it up, put it in plastic, put it in a box. Somebody else had to enter the data that it's there and available for purchase. Somebody else had to go and pick it up and put it in a box and ship it to you or put it on the shelf. And another cart, oh, our warehouse is in California, but I'm buying this product in New York. Somebody else had to drive it all across, and all kinds of oil dripped out and CO2 into the atmosphere for the trucks. Who's paying those costs for these globalized products who value cost only? So we thought about, well, I really beat it on the cost. No, you didn't. You didn't pay the costs of what your product cost overall. You only paid, twice the amount of what the cheapest way you could get that to fall onto the shelf. Mm-hmm. And that's where we are now, folks. Because we're not paying all these other costs, we're kicking those costs down to the earth down the road. We are able to rip off the people that come behind us. I'm talking about the next generations of earthlings are going to be paying our debts. Now they're not going to pay. Who's going to pay to clean this stuff up? Nobody takes responsibility for that. And so that's what we get into when we talk about, like, let's lower regulations, because there's cost to it. But by taking those regulations off and taking off those costs, doesn't make them go away. They're still there. They're just gone unpaid for. So when you make something local, you are cutting down on some of those costs. Factory was in Midtown, stores downtown. That's all the costs, right? That's one of the reasons why, as much as I possibly can, not only do I import beautiful fabrics from Japan, but I scour the garment center to see if I can just find it there. Because there, I'm going to pay way more for per unit cost. So probably going to have to pay retail. Somebody also had to pay to keep the lights on in their place on the ground floor of a New York business. They're going to be facing rent, and they're going to be facing, oh my God, running a business in New York. So very expensive. So the cost is going to be more, but the overall cost of that garment that I can feel good about putting on your back is going to have its values in the right place, right? Its value is going to pay those other costs. And the other thing is that the value that I see in the hands that sew these things up and make these products the old way, that says it's not good for this product to last a short amount of time. That is bad for our environment. It's bad to be throwing this stuff away all the time. And moreover, what I've been contending here the most is it's bad for our mindset. It's bad when we begin to assess value to all kinds of things without taking responsibility for the other costs. Because as we do that, it's easier to cheat the value of other things the other way, to discredit and don't assess value to the earth and the things around us. And that gets me to the final point about what you get. Because at the end of the day, if you bought by Robert James and it didn't wind up having that value, you're like, I bought this shirt and a week later it fell apart and, I had to buy another one. And I gave this guy $200 and I got the same garbage, and I looked on the inside. So, like, this shirt is made the old-fashioned way, the same way that the settlers made it. It's made with, I don't know if you can see that. Right there, it's a tough one to see. Maybe I can find it. It's made, anyway, with a flat felt double needle, sewn twice. It's not a double needle, but it's got a top stitch on the outside. It's been folded over itself and then sewn down. It's as strong and beautiful and clean as it gets. It's also been cut so that at the side seam, these things match. right? They're going to match. Look at that. You're not getting that for a 20 bucks, $10. But these things wind up lasting. So even if you're talking about monetary value, if you take that $10 shirt, but it only lasts a week and you got two wears out of it, it's $5 a wear. If you take the $20 one, right? And you, if you take my $200 one and you got anybody in the chat, tell me, I got it. What? I've worn mine for 7 years and so good. I hear it all the time. Robert, I love your stuff. It's great. I'd love to buy, but I'm still wearing the one I bought, 5, 6, 7 years ago. You're going to get better physical value out of what you're going to buy from me, or you're going to buy from an adjacent brand who functions and operates that way. So what I'm proposing here is that if you are able to bring your value down in terms of how many of something that you want, like instead of buying 6 pairs of jeans, I'm going to just buy that 1 pair or 2 pairs, and I'm going to wear them continuously until they wear out, and I'm going to have them for, a few years, or with shirts or coats. You begin to win on value. And instead of looking like everybody else with the same shirt that, you go to hey, I'm going to go dancing tonight. I just got this beautiful shirt for $10 at H&M or Zara, whatever. And God bless them. I hope they do fine. And think about what I'm saying too, and run their companies to best mitigate these things. You wind up with you win on value too, okay? And you look nicer. And when you go to the club in this, you're going to be one of one, as opposed to, oh, that's cool, you look cool, and then 10 other guys have the same thing on. I don't know if you guys even go to the club anymore, but wherever you guys meet, or on Instagram or whatever, when you consume something that's made in mass, and not for nothing else, so we want to talk about quickly our national identity or what have you. You go to New York, you can't buy anything from New York. It's all from there. I went to France. I'm like, okay, let me find some clothing or something made in France. I think I found one thing, and it was in a store full of a bunch of other stuff that wasn't from there. So we lose that too. We lose the ability to make these things in the future also, because we're not supplying the workforce that can do that, right? And for us here also, we have been very good at bringing people into our country that contribute later, by bringing them in through some manufacturing as their first step on the American dream ladder. And if we cut that step off, we wouldn't have had some of the most brilliant, beautiful people that we would have. So just as a quick recap, if you value the earth, quality, if you value something that's going to last, something that's been well thought out, because yeah, right, I can't be as loosey-goosey with just making crazy stuff, because it's the trend-worthy things are not something that's going to have an arc that's going to last as long as the product. Think about that. For something trendy, it's like this. Trend. It's here today and gone tomorrow. So that's why it fits with that pattern, because it's only going to be a functional product that long too. How about that? How about getting clothes that have value, that have a curve like that, and just buying less? Also, I want to be very, very, very honest. This is a product, and this is the thing that I have massive passion for. I have been to Asia, Central America, and in huge factories, and participated in all of these things. And I come to this realization from experience. I'm not some fly pie in the sky guy who doesn't know, just saying that because I'm trying to snowball you to pay more for my stuff. I spent 3 months a year for some time in Shanghai. I spent a lot of time in Central America and Mexico and Thailand and in these factories. And that's part of what also made me value doing things the right way and making sure when you wear my label, by Robert James, label, made New York, made New York, that I know that the people, the hands that touched it, were paid properly for what they made. I can go to bed at night knowing that my label is on something that is as functional for the person who buys it, and it's also functional for the person who made it. When I was in the factory in Shanghai, there was like a little commissary, and I think that I'm not going to be perfectly correct down to the penny, but I think it was something that they lived on. A lot of these people the workers lived right there at the factory setting, and they fed them on something like 82 cents a day. And that's not a great meal. The factory's cold, it's big, and that was a good one. That was one that would definitely pass OSHA standards for what we were allowable to make, so it's not sweat. And that's the other thing too. Like when you set up your brand, if you are making a brand and you're like, well, yeah, but I know this company. This is my guy Bob, or this is my buddy Bill's factory, and I know they make everything great. Or Wang wouldn't do me wrong. You're wrong. And here's what happens. And this is good intentions by setting it up like that. But say Bill has gotten your order, but Bill's taken all the orders he can take. He's not refusing anything. Trust me, Bill is going to take the order, because if he can't make it, his buddy Steve down the street can. I'm using English names for a reason, not to be a racist jerk. Steve down the way is his buddy, and he's like, hey, Steve, I got an order, and these were like target numbers. I got an order for 100,000 t-shirts, and here's the price. I'm only able to make 20,000 here. I'm going to give you the 80,000. You pay me 3 cents per. I won't even make it, but I'll make 3 cents per 80,000. And he has it down the street. When you go to the office, you go to Bill's office and you make the order with Bill and you look at his facilities and it's great. But Steve's factory down the street is garbage. Okay. It's using labor that shouldn't be there, off the books labor, cold, dark, dangerous, bad. He then delivers it back to Steve, delivers it back to Bill. Bill packs it, sends it in the same box. 20% of those products were made as you agreed upon, and the people were paid what they were agreed to, and it was a fair deal. Down the street, they didn't do any of that. Okay. So unless you have boots on the ground, you better be sure that you're doing something ethically. And if you're just a small brand like I was, I couldn't ensure that. So I just said, you know what? Rather than mess around with my value prop, rather than mess around with possibly getting my products made by non-ethically in my mind, to my mind, I'm not going to put my stuff on you, but I'm just telling you from my perspective. Then I didn't see a way for me to do that. I also didn't see, just from a small business perspective, you only have this amount of money and you have this amount of time to execute. I didn't have the money to ship the things back, or time to ship it back and forth until they got it right. So those were the main reasons for behind by Robert James, made USA, because I could sleep at night, because it was offering value that I believe in, and because I thought it made the most sense for me as a startup business also. So I just was, this is something that's been on my heart for a long time. If you want to see the terrible version that I made of this topic, at my desk sitting, with some sunglasses on crudely, as a slightly younger man, you can check that out as well. But That's what I wanted to talk about today. Value, tactfully, how do we deal with it? What does it mean? Is it going to be, I get value out of having 10 of these that last 10 minutes or one of these that lasts 10 years? That's different kind of value. And then how do we think about value? And as we begin to buy 10 and say that's okay, we don't care about the hidden costs. How does that seep into our other values in our country, right? How in the world around us? How do we then value and see the value of the world around us? I think if we're careful and we think about these things, we would divert at least a portion of our purchasing power to locally made products, people that make valuable products, not just because it's cheap, but because it's well crafted and it has, it has the value that we used to have in yesteryear when we had less and we were consuming less and making less. And by the way, consuming less but spending the same is good for our planet. Think about that and enjoy the rest of your Saturday. I really do appreciate you joining me here. Please do like and subscribe. And I do appreciate all the time I've had with you today. Even though it's just been me, I feel like it's been me and you. Thank you so much.